Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today I'll be focusing on the topic how to validate the form using JavaScript. That means JavaScript form validation. Okay. So how to actually do that? So what do you mean by form validation? Form validation means suppose you have a form in front of you wherein you have to fill out your let's say name, your password, and then there's a block wherein you have to click. That means it's a kind of submit button. You have to register. So this is basically the name. Okay, and this is the password. So form validation means when these two fields will be filled, then only you can click on register and then only it will be validated. Okay, if you suppose if I leave the form this particular field, that is the name, as empty, and I just password and click on register, then a pop-up in your screen will come up that you cannot leave the space as empty. That's called as form validation. That means any of these two fields cannot be left as empty when you are using a form validation in JavaScript. Okay, now how to do that? Let's get started. So first of all, we'll write the script. Okay. And inside the script, I'll just use a function name as validate form. Okay. So here, if you have noticed, I haven't used any HTML or CSS. I'm just showing you the scripting part. Okay. So function, let's say validate form. Okay, that's my function name. And then inside that, I'll be using two variables, that is name and password. So for that, I'll write var name, and then with the help of document dot form. So document dot my form dot name dot value I'll take. Okay, and the next I'll do same for the password. So where password, so that's my second variable, and I'll write document dot my form, and this is for password, so I'll put password. Okay, dot value. Okay, these two are done. So I've taken a function which is, the function name is validate form, and inside that I have declared two variables, that is name and password, which I have to use it in my form. Okay, so it's coming up from my form. That means when you write an HTML or CSS for this particular script, at that point of time you can create the name and password in your HTML, and then you can get it from there. That's why I've used the document.myFrom form.name.value. Okay, now what I have to do, I have to write conditions over here wherein it will check if my name field is left empty, or if my name field is left as blank or with the spaces. Then there should be an alert coming up on the screen that you cannot leave the name field as blank, or the name cannot be left as blank, something like that. So for that I have to use an if condition. So inside if, what we can write? We can write name. If name is equal to null. Okay. And then I'll use or name is equal to a blank space. Okay. So these are the two conditions. If the name will be left as null by the user, or the name is given as a blank space by the user, then at that point of time there should be an alert message. So what should be the message? So I'll write alert, and inside that I'll write let's say name cannot be left blank. Okay, this is my message, and after that the value which it will return, it will be false. Okay, because we are using a function, that's why it has to return a value. So I'll write return false. Fine. Now if I have an if function, I'll also have an else if function which will work for my password. So for password I have to put the condition if my password length is less than 6. Okay, the password length is less than 6. then at that point also there should be a message popping up on the screen that the password must be at least 6 character length. Okay, that should be the message. So here in the alert I can write password must be 6 character length. Okay, these are done. Now after this also we have to return false. That means here these two conditions, if it's there in your case in your form, then at that point of time these alert message will come up. That means at the time of validation, if you're leaving the name or the password as blank, or if you're not using 6 characters in your password, or you're using a blank space in your name, then these alert message will come up. Okay, now this is done with the scripting part. Fine. Now we have to see the output, how it is looking like, right? So for that we have to write down the body part, okay, wherein we will mention the name and password. Okay, so body, and inside that I'll create a form. Okay, and then it will have name. So name is my form. Okay, so the name of my form is my form, right? And the method is in the form of a post I wanted, so I'll write it as post. Okay, and then the action, let's say it's this abc.jsp. Okay, and then on submit it should return the form. Okay, when you're submitting it, it should return the form values. So for that, on submit I'll just mention my function name, that is validate form, right? So here I can write return validate form. Okay, this function will get returned when you are using it inside form. Okay, and then the two things which you want to display, first is name, so I'll write name and then a colon, and after that I'll write the input type. Okay, so the input type is in a form of a text, so I'll write as text for name, and for name it's name itself, so I'll just write name. Okay, and then I want my password thing to be in the next line, so for that I'll just use a break. Okay, and then after that I'll just write password, okay, then a colon, and then I'll write input. Okay, and in this input type it will be password. Okay, and in the name you can write password itself. Okay, and then it should end with the BR. Fine, that's it. And then after that only the input type, so here I can write input. Okay, and the type should be in a form of a submit button, so submit. Okay, and the value should be register, like the button should be register, so value, and then I can write register. Okay, let me remove these things. Fine, now this is done. Now what you have to do, just close the form. Okay, so now that this is all completed, now we have to go ahead and check out the output. So in the output, what will happen? In the output, there would be a form wherein name and password would come up as a field, and then there should be a button wherein the value should be registered. That means inside the button, register would be written. Okay, and then we have to check out the form validation if it's working. Fine, so we'll click on file and then click on save, and then let me open the place where this script is placed. So I'll go to the file explorer, and yep, in the coding, the form HTML. Okay, so I'll go to this is the one. So now if you see, we have name and password, and then there is a button. So this is the field, name field, password field, and then there is a button wherein the value is there, which is register. Okay, so that means the code is successfully executed and we have what we want in our screen. Now we have to check the validation if it's working or not. So we'll check the first part. we'll keep the name field as blank and we'll try to enter some password over here, which should be greater than 6. So let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. And I'll just click on register. So when I click on register, there should be a pop-up on the screen which should say the name field cannot be left blank. So I click on register. Now here is the validation message. It says name cannot be left blank. Okay, fine. Now let's check out the second one as well. So here I'll give some name. Let's say the name is coding, and let's say the password is 1234. Okay, and I click on register. It says password must be 6-character length. Okay, so you saw both the things are working now. Both the validation is working, like wherein you leave the name field as empty, then also there will be a validation coming up when you click on register. And if you put the password as character length less than 6, then also the validation message will come up when you're trying to validate the form. Okay, so this is how the validation works inside JavaScript. Okay,